What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video on my channel Skotrix, and today as you can see we are back on NBA 2K20, and in this video I'm going to be talking to y'all a little bit on how to rep up fast. I'm going to be giving y'all some tips and tricks, things you want to do to rep up fast, some things you want to avoid when you're trying to rep up, and just a bunch of other general rules of thumb when you're trying to rep up. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about in this video is the best game modes to play to rep up. Now the best game mode you probably want to stick to if you're trying to rep up is either Pro-Am 3v3 or the Park. Pro-Am has its benefits because you can get games quick. They usually are a little bit more competition, but if you're a higher rep, you might need that because you're going to have a lot of people running from you in the Park. So the Pro-Am is probably the way to go. The Park is also good. You just want to get quick games all the time as fast as possible, and 3v3 is really where it's at for rep. You can try and run the Rec. It works good if it's double rep. And then obviously there's like the 1v1, 4v4, and 5v5 events. You can do those if you want. They're about as good as just playing the regular Park because you don't get as much rep from those, even though they are double rep events. So I would recommend either just playing the Park or the Pro-Am all the time when you're trying to rep up. But another option would be either playing the Rec or Pro-Am 5v5, even though I wouldn't recommend this unless you're playing either the point guard or the center, because if you're playing the point guard, you're going to be getting a lot of touches on offense, and you're going to be playing on-ball defense a lot of the time, so you're going to have a good opportunity to get a lot of rep. And if you're playing the Pro-Am 5v5, same thing. And if you're playing the center in either of those, you're also going to be able to get a ton of rebounds, a ton of blocks. So you're going to be able to rep up off that easily. But if you're playing on the wing, you're not going to be getting as much rep from those. So you really probably want to avoid that. But like I said, if you're playing the point guard or the center, it might be beneficial for you to play in the Rec or the Pro-Am. But still, I would recommend the Park over that. That's more of a secondary option. And you know, if there's double rep in the Rec ever, they have that event pretty often, then that's a really good time to farm rep, really, no matter what position you're on. Alright, now we're going to get into some specific techniques on how to wrap up when you're playing the games. The first thing you want to do that mostly everybody knows is to throw and catch lobs. This is like probably the best way to get rep as fast as possible. Throwing and catching lobs gives you a lot, and especially if you're getting posterizing dunks on those lobs, you know, that's going to give a lot of rep. That's the best way to go. But some other things that you want to try and do while you're playing the game to get a ton of rep, the maximum you can out of that game, is you want to make sure that you're moving the ball really good on your offense. You know, it helps a lot if you're playing with people that you know that you can, you know, call for the ball. You know, if you pass to them, you could tell them, you know, make the extra pass or pass it back or do something like that. Because just getting regular assists doesn't give a lot of rep, but a lot of other passing, you know, accolades do, like pass to assist, deep outlet pass, screen and roll assist, or attack assist, which is where you drive in and kick out to like a three-pointer shooter in the corner and they shoot and make it. That would be an attack assist. So those are the things that really give a lot of rep. Again, I'll say the pass to assist, deep outlet pass, screen and roll assist, and attack assist. You want to try and get as many of those as possible throughout the game to maximize your rep intake. And with that being said, I'm going to get into the one mistake there, or one of the two mistakes that a lot of people make while playing the game trying to get maximum rep, and that's they try to score all the points in the game. That is not an efficient way to get a lot of rep. You could shoot 2 for 2 from the field and you're going to get just as much rep from that as if you shot, let's just say 4 for 8. So yeah, you'll be scoring more points if you're shooting 4 for 8, but you're not scoring more as efficiently, and you're taking away possessions from your team where you could be getting rep from doing other things. So you want to, you know, don't just focus on scoring when you're trying to farm rep. You know, make the extra pass, do all that stuff. Don't just focus on trying to get 21 points in the game. It's not going to get you a lot of rep over time, and it's just not worth it. Alright, now that we've covered a few ways to work on your rep on offense, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball a little bit. Now, when you're playing defense, 2 good ways to get a lot of rep, or rather 3, is to get blocks, steals, and rebounds. You know, everybody knows that. Obviously, you get stats, you get rep usually. But a couple other things that you want to go for on defense, you know, you don't always have to get a ton of steals, blocks, and rebounds to get the rep on the defensive side of the ball. If you're getting tip passes or balls poked loose, even if you're not getting the steal on that play, you know, you're still going to get some rep just from that. And also well defended plays, you know, if you're closing out on the shooter getting a red contest, or if you're in the paint and somebody comes in for a layup and you're contesting it really well, even if you don't get the block, you're still going to be getting a lot of rep just from that well defended play. So try and do that as much as possible. You know, don't ignore defense when you're grinding rep. It is really important and it does give you a lot. Alright, so now with that being said, let's get into another mistake that I see a lot of people making, especially newer players to the game when they're trying to get some rep, you know, rookies, pros, and all-stars, is going to the cages. The cages are the worst spot in the whole neighborhood to farm rep by far. Even when there's double rep in the cages like there just was, it's not worth going there. You're better off just playing in the park. And I know a lot of the time there's some tryhards in the park or in the Pro-Am 3v3, but you know, you just gotta fight through that. When I was around the All-Star 2, I only had about a 30 win percentage, and I really couldn't shoot at all. I couldn't do anything, but now my win percentage is over double what it was back then, and I'm really glad I took those licks because now that made me the player that I am today. So try and play the park or the Pro-Am at first, because it's really important that you get better at the game so you can get that rep up in the park and the Pro-Am, because you can't play the cages forever. You're never going to rep up in there, so you got to make sure that you're really trying to get it elsewhere, even if you're taking losses at first. And that brings me into my last point, which is kind of going to contradict the point I just made, but that's when you're playing the park and the Pro-Am, you want to make sure that you win at all costs. Do not let your stats jeopardize your team taking a loss, because if you do lose the game, those stats are going to mean jack. And obviously you're not going to win every game. You know, if you're a lower rep player or less experienced player, you're not going to win every game you play, not even close. But that's okay. Don't let that discourage you, you know. You just got to make sure that you're not losing games because you're trying to get stats and you're trying to get rep, because it's not worth it. If you have to finish the game with slightly lower stats but you end up winning the game, that's a lot better for your rep. I cannot stress this point enough, okay? I see guys in the park with almost twice as many games played as me, but because their win percentages are low and they're not able to get wins, you know, but they have good stats, but they never get wins. You know, they're the same rep as me, even though they could have twice as many games played as me. So you really want to make sure you're not jeopardizing wins. Alright, so I got one more quick tip for y'all, and a lot of y'all probably know this. It's pretty much basically common sense or common knowledge, and that's take advantage of the double rep, triple rep, or quadruple rep events. That's really where you're going to gain a lot of your rep. And if you spin the wheel and get double rep, play that whole time if possible, okay? That's really where it's going to come in, because you could grind that 5 hours for double rep that one day. That's like grind 2 hours a day for 5 days on normal reps. So it's really important that you take advantage of those events and those spins. And let's say you know there's an event coming in the evening and you're on in the afternoon. Maybe you want to save your spin until that event starts so you have a chance of getting like 4 times rep. Or if it's treasure hunters or something that has 4 times rep, you could get 8 times rep if you get double rep on the wheel. So that's really what you want to try and do. Save your spins so that you can max out your rep during those events. And the last thing, make sure you're having fun when you're playing. You know, it's just a game, so if you're not having fun, what's really the point of even doing it? You know what I mean? That's probably the best tip I could even give y'all, is make sure you're having fun while you're playing. Alright, so now with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, I really appreciate if you could like it, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be uploading way more bangers on the way soon. Alright, peace!